The Galactic Council had called it a demonstration of primitive engineering. That was their first mistake. Commander Darian Voss stood at the observation deck of INS Sovereignty, her jaw tight, her eyes cold as deep space. Around her, the viewports revealed a breathtaking, and deliberately intimidating, formation of alien warships. 300 vessels, representing 11 separate empires, hanging in the void like a jury assembled to judge a condemned prisoner. Humanity. The invitation had arrived 6 months ago. Bring your finest weapon. Show us what your species has built. We will determine if you are worthy of a seat at the table. Darian had read the message twice, set it down, and smiled the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. She had been building that seat for 4 years. Emperor Kael'zar of the Vrithian Dominion watched the human vessel through the crystalline viewport of his command throne. It was small. Embarrassingly so. A single warship, angular and brutish, constructed from dense gray alloys rather than the elegant bioceramics favored by advanced civilizations. No shimmering energy fields. No graviton lattice visible along the hull. No evidence of quantum fold drive coils. Just metal. Heavy, inelegant, prehistoric metal. They have truly come with one ship, asked High Admiral Sovrix, his bioluminescent crest dimming with visible amusement. One metal ship? Kael'zar allowed himself a thin smile. Let them demonstrate. It is polite to let a child show what they have made before you tell them it is not enough. Laughter rippled through the Dominion bridge. On the INS Sovereignty, Darian heard none of the laughter. She didn't need to. She'd read the diplomatic intercepts. She knew exactly what they thought of humanity. A species barely 3 centuries out from their first atmospheric flight. No psionics. No biointegration. No quantum ancestry. Just apes with wrenches. Good, she thought. Let them laugh. Engineering, she said quietly into her calm, begin primary charge sequence. Far below in the ship's spine, running nearly the entire length of the vessel, reinforced through 17 internal decks, wrapped in superconducting coils cooled to 4 Kelvin, the Railgun woke up. Its proper designation was the Fenrir-class Linear Mass Accelerator, Mark 7. But the crew called her Mjolnir's daughter. She was humanity's answer to 3 centuries of watching alien empire after alien empire dismiss them, speak over them, exclude them, condescend to them. She was 400 meters long, bore a projectile the size of a small automobile, and when fired at full charge, which had never been done in the presence of witnesses, she would launch that projectile at approximately 3% the speed of light. Not through psionic manipulation. Not through dark energy redirection. Not through quantum fold physics that required 300 years of biological evolution to intuit. Through math. Magnetism. Electricity. Engineering. Through stubbornness. The charge buildup took 11 minutes. During those 11 minutes, Darian stood perfectly still. Her crew moved with quiet, practiced efficiency. No dramatics. No speeches over ship-wide calms. They had done this in testing. They knew what was coming. Outside, the alien fleet shifted restlessly. Kael'zar had expected the humans to ask for permission to fire. Protocols demanded it. The designated target, an obsolete Vrithian drone hulk, positioned 300,000 kilometers distant, sat waiting. No request came. Darian simply said, "Fire." What happened next would be debated, replayed, and studied for generations. The INS Sovereignty shuddered. Not gracefully. Not elegantly. The entire ship vibrated like a struck bell, the discharge of electromagnetic energy registering on every sensor suite within 12,000 kilometers. Every alien vessel in the assembly suddenly received the same reading simultaneously, an energy spike so massive, so raw, so utterly unsubtle that automated defense systems across 40 warships went to alert status. The projectile, a tungsten carbide ferromagnetic rod, 2.3 meters long, weighing 47 kilograms, left the barrel at Mach 26,000. It covered 300,000 kilometers in 34 seconds. The drone Hulk, a decommissioned warship that had survived 2 actual wars and was constructed from Vrithian Tier 4 ablative plating, rated to withstand direct plasma cannon fire, simply ceased to exist on impact. Not exploded. Not pierced. Not damaged. Ceased to exist. The kinetic energy released on contact was equivalent to a small nuclear detonation. The Hulk vaporized. The shockwave propagated outward in a perfect sphere of expanding plasma. Every sensor array in the assembled fleet registered the event in real time, and for approximately 4 seconds, every bridge in the Galactic Council formation went completely silent. Kaelzer stared at his sensor readout. Then he stared again. "What was that projectile made of?" he asked, his voice very quiet. High Admiral Sovrix, whose laughter had not yet fully faded from his throat, checked the spectroscopic analysis. His crest went dark. "Tungsten. And carbon." He paused. "Emperor, those are primitive elements." "I know what tungsten is, Admiral." "They used no energy field." "No quantum?" "I know." Kaelzer stood from his throne. It was an involuntary act. He wasn't sure when he had decided to stand. He was simply standing, staring at the cloud of ionized vapor that had, seconds ago, been a warship. The humans had not used exotic physics. They had not tapped into subspace or borrowed energy from a higher dimension. They had taken metal, put electricity through it in a very precise way, and thrown it so hard that it erased a warship from existence. He opened a direct channel to the human vessel. Darien answered it herself. On her screen, Emperor Kaelzer of the Vrithian Dominion, ruler of 340 star systems, conqueror of the Ash Nebula cluster, a being whose ancestors had been spacefaring when humanity was still arguing about which continent to live on, looked at her with an expression she had never seen on an alien face before. Wariness. "Commander Voss," he said, carefully. "That was a chemical propulsion system?" "Electromagnetic," she said. "No chemicals. Just current." A pause. "How many of those can you build?" Darien let the silence stretch for exactly 3 seconds. "A small mercy. We have 11 Fenrir-class accelerators currently operational. We're commissioning 7 more this fiscal year." Another pause. "We've also been working on a variant that fits on a frigate." She watched something move behind Kaelzer's eyes. "The material cost," he said, almost to himself. "Tungsten, carbon, these are abundant elements. You can manufacture these projectiles?" "By the million," Darien said. "Yes." The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. On the diplomatic channel, Darien could hear the ghost chatter of other alien commanders hailing each other, running their own calculations, arriving at the same uncomfortable conclusions that Kaelzer was arriving at right now. You didn't need centuries of psionic evolution to fire a railgun. You didn't need bio-integrated neural lattices to calculate a firing solution. You needed math. A power source. And the will to build something very, very large. Humanity had been doing all 3 for a very long time. "Commander Voss," Kaelzer said at last, his tone stripped of everything except a careful, measured respect, "I believe the Council should revisit the question of humanity's seat at the table." Darien didn't smile. "Not yet. We never needed an invitation, Emperor. We came to tell you that." She let that land. "The seat isn't the point. The point is, you know what we can do now. And you know we built it without asking anyone for help." She reached forward and closed the channel. Behind her, her crew remained silent for exactly 2 seconds. Then Chief Engineer Raul Tamov, a broad-shouldered man from Kiev who had spent 4 years crawling through superconducting coil housings to make Mjolnir's daughter work, exhaled slowly and said, "Think they got the message, Commander?" Darien finally allowed herself a small smile. They'll be running the numbers for a week, she said. And every number will say the same thing. She turned back to the viewport. 300 alien warships, the assembled might of 11 empires, drifted in the quiet dark. None of them were laughing now. Set a course home, she said. We have 7 more to build. In the official Vrithian Dominion historical record, the date is listed simply as the day we learned to take them seriously. Humanity filed it under something more practical. Tuesday.